Hi everybody, this is Crystal. Now today I'm going to show you how to make this baby blanket here. It's pretty big. It's approximately 32 inches by 42 inches. And just fold in half here. Here's the stitch that I used. And then it's got some ruffle or edging, ruffled V stitch edging. Here's what the back looks like. It's pretty plain on the back. That's it. Don't forget to, I wanted to remind you not to forget to subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. That way you never miss an update on any of my tutorials, or any of my yarn shopping trips, or any of my giveaways. I have quite a few giveaways. So let's go ahead and get started on this. A special thanks to Red Heart for providing today's yarn for me. Today I am using the Red Heart Dreamy, which is a bulky number 5 100% acrylic yarn. Now even though it's a 100% acrylic, it does have a little bit of a fuzz on it. As you can probably see, it makes it look a little bit woolly. It is nice and soft, and even though it is a bulky 5, I would consider this to be a bulky 5, but a thinner bulky 5. I mean, it's not a 4-ply, but it is on the thinner side for a bulky 5. There are 466 yards per skein, and you're going to need 2 for the main collar, and I'm using rose for mine. And then for the edging, you know, you'll just need 1 skein, but you won't use it all. I am going to be using ivory for that, but of course you can use any colors that you wish. I will put a link below where you can get this yarn, and please don't forget to check out redheart.com, where they have thousands of free crochet and knitting patterns for you to enjoy. And then I'm going to be using a size J, which is a 6mm crochet hook. Okay, you want to start off with a chain of 87. Now this stitch is done in a multiple of 2 plus 1, in case you want to make yours bigger or smaller. But I started off with a chain of 87. So what you want to do once you get your chain of 87 done, you want to go ahead and do a double crochet in the 4th stitch from the hook. So we don't count the one that's on our hook. So we go 1, 2, 3. In the 4th stitch, do a double crochet. And now I'm going to do 1 double crochet in every single stitch for the length of the chain. Just like that. 1 double in every stitch all the way until you get to the end of your chain. Okay, once you make it to the end of row 1, you should now have a total of 85 stitches, and that is including this little chain here on the end. He counts as a stitch. So counting him, you should have a total of 85. So for row 2, what we're going to do is chain 1 and turn our work. Now that chain 1 that we did does not count as anything, so we're going to put 1 single crochet right back into the same stitch, the very first one. And now we're going to double crochet into the next stitch. And then we're going to slip stitch into the next. And that's kind of our repeat. Now we're going to double crochet into the next stitch. And then we're going to slip stitch into the next. Double crochet into the next. And then slip stitch into the next. double crochet, and then slip stitch. And we're going to keep repeating this double crochet, slip stitch until we get to our last stitch of the row. Oops. Oh, I did it again. Just like that. All the way to the end. And that's what it kind of looks like on the other side. Okay, I'm coming to the end of row 2, and I did a double crochet, was the last one I did, and then I got one more stitch left, and this is that little chain on the end that we talked about from the last row. Go ahead and go ahead and single crochet into the top of this last stitch. So right in the top of the chain of the last stitch here. Just like that. And now you should have a total of 85 stitches still. You should always have 85 stitches. So for row 3, we're going to chain 1 and turn our work. And that chain 1 does not count as anything, so we're going to work right back into the very first stitch, and we're going to put a double crochet, and we're going to work one double crochet in every stitch across till we get to the end of the row. So a double crochet into the next stitch, and then a double crochet into that next stitch, which is a slip stitch. So make sure you get that. Sometimes it's hard to see, but you gotta make sure you get it. Double crochet into the next stitch, so right on top of the next stitch right there. Double crochet into the next stitch, which is that slip stitch right there. It's kind of hard to see, but you gotta make sure you get it. And then double crochet into the next stitch, and then that next slip stitch, and then the next stitch, and then the next slip stitch. It's always a little tighter, that slip stitch is, to go into. And then the next, and then the next slip stitch. So we're just going to repeat this one double crochet in every stitch until we get to the end of the row. Okay, I'm coming to the end of row 3, and I'm at my last stitch here, so I want to double crochet into the top of that last stitch. And at the end of row 3, you still should have 85 stitches. So that's kind of what it starts to look like. And that's the repeat now. You just repeat rows 2 and 3. Just keep repeating 2 and 3 until you get your blanket as tall as you want it to be. So remember, for row 2, we started by chaining 1 and we turned, and that chain 1 didn't count as anything. So we put one single crochet right back into that very first stitch, and then we double crocheted into the next stitch and slip stitch into the next, double crocheted into the next, and slip stitched into the next. And we just repeated that to the end. Double crochet, that just keeps happening to me, and then slip stitched. And then when we got to the end, we just put one single crochet into the last stitch, and then we repeated the double crochet row again. So that's it. Just keep repeating rows 2 and 3 until you get your blanket as tall as you want it to be. Now, I'm not quite sure how many rows I'm going to do, but I'm going to get started on it, and I'll let you know how many I do whenever I get finished here in just a second. Okay, I went ahead and did 87 rows altogether total, from row 1 all the way to the end. Now you can do more if you'd like, but you might need more yarn than what I initially said in the beginning, and you want to end in a row of double crochet. The last row to be a row of double crochet. Now don't tie off. Now we're going to work on the edging. So we're just going to continue from where we left off. What I'm going to do is chain 1, and now I'm going to evenly space out single crochets all the way down and all around the entire blanket. Now you don't have to have the exact same number. I mean, there's no certain number, so you just want to kind of try to get them evenly as spaced as possible. So kind of a rule that I go by is every double crochet there is on the side, I usually put 2 single crochets, and then you'll probably put one right here where this single crochet is. So I'll go ahead and start right here as a double, so I'll probably go ahead and put 2 double crochets through that one, or 2 single crochets, I'm sorry, I did not mean to say double. And then the next stitch kind of right here is a single, just kind of go through that, and then the next stitch is going to be a double crochet row, so you'll put 2 singles through where that double crochet is. It's kind of fuzzy, you can't really tell, can you? And then the next row is single crochet here, and then the next row you can see is a double crochet row, so I'll put 2 single crochets on this last double crochet. But anyways, it doesn't have to be exact. There's no certain number that you have to end with. The trim's going to work out, or the edging that I put on is going to work out regardless of how many stitches you have. So just kind of evenly space out single crochets all the way around, the best that you can. That's all you can do, just do the best that you can. So I'm going to go ahead and work down this side, and all this is doing is cleaning up the edge so we can add the white edging on it. I'm going to meet you down here at this first corner. Okay, now once you make it to the first corner, all you want to do is put 3 single crochets up here into the corner. 3 in the same stitch, and that'll round the corner out and make it lay flat so it doesn't stick up. So I put 3 there in the same stitch, and now I'm just going to continue working across the short side. Now you can probably kind of see where the stitches go a little better when you're working on the short side of the blanket. Putting 1 single crochet in every stitch. Now I'm going to continue working my 1 single crochet in every stitch, evenly spacing them out on the other sides where you can't hardly tell where they're supposed to go, and putting 3 single crochets in each of the corners. And I'm going to do this all the way around the blanket. So when I get to my next corner, I'll put 3 single crochets in it, and then I'll continue working, evenly spacing out 1 single crochet up the other long side, and then I'll put 3 single crochets in the next corner, and I will continue that until I get back to my starting point, and I'll meet you there when I get back around. Just like that. Okay, I have made it all the way around my whole blanket with my single crochet, and I'm at my last stitch. What you want to do is make sure you put 3 single crochets into your last stitch, your last corner, and then we're going to slip stitch in our first single crochet over here. Remember, we chained 1, which is right here, and then we started single crocheting. So not into the chain 1, but the first single crochet, and then you can tie this off. Now I'm not going to even count the single crochets around because it does not matter how many you have, and I know that yours will be different than mine because we just evenly spaced them out, and it's just not going to be exact, and that's okay. It doesn't matter. So now I'm going to start with my white color, and you can start anywhere that you want. Make sure you start with the right side of your work facing you. I'm going to start opposite corner. That way when I get around to this tail, I can just crochet it in. I don't have to hide it later. So with the right side of your work facing you, get your whatever color you're using for the trim. I'm going to be using the white. Okay, you want to start in any stitch. I probably just start right up here into the corner, but it doesn't really matter where you start. I'm going to chain 1. Now I'm going to go back into that same stitch. I'm going to do a double crochet, a chain 1, and another double crochet. So that was just what I did, was a V-stitch. And I'm going to do a V-stitch in every single crochet all the way around. So I'm going to go directly into the next stitch and do a V-stitch. So I'm going to do a double crochet, a chain of 1, and another double crochet. And then the next stitch, the same thing. Double, chain 1, double, and then the next one, same thing. Double, chain 1, and double. So I'm going to do the V in every stitch all the way around. Now when you get to the corners, you don't have to do anything different, nothing special. Just work the V stitch right around the corners, no extra stitches or anything. Now it might get a little wavy, and that's what it's supposed to do, so when it does that, don't worry about it. That's what we want. So I'm going to continue working a V-stitch in every single one of these single crochets all around the entire blanket until I make it back around to the beginning. Just like that. And you see mine starting to get a little wavy, and that is fine. Okay, I have made it back around to my starting point on my edging. So what I'm going to do, I just did my last V-stitch there. I'm going to end with a slip stitch into the first double crochet of my first V-stitch. Now I'm going to go around again. So I want to slip stitch right into this chain 1 space of the first V-stitch. And then I'm going to chain 1, and I'm going to work a V-stitch into that chain 1 space. So right into the space, I'm going to do a double crochet, a chain 1, and a double crochet. And now I'm going to jump to the chain 1 space of the next V-stitch, not in between the V-stitches, the chain 1 space of the V-stitch. So right here, and do a V-stitch. So right through it, double crochet, chain 1, double crochet. Then I'm going to jump to my next V-stitch, the chain 1 space, and do a V-stitch right through that chain 1 space. And that's what I'm going to repeat all the way around. It's kind of like what we just did, only this time we're working in the chain 1 space of the V's. So I'll jump to into the middle of my next V-stitch and do another V-stitch. Next one right here. Jump to your next one. V-stitch in it. Next one. And I'm going to continue this all the way around until I get back to the beginning. It's one V-stitch in the chain 1 space of the V-stitch from the previous row. So you can look at it and see that my V-stitches are lined up now. See, right on top of each other. So I'm going to do that all the way around my blanket until I get back right over here to my starting point. Okay, I have made it back around my second time with the V-stitches, and again we're going to end with a slip stitch into the first double crochet of the first V-stitch, and then you can tie this off, unless of course you want to go around again. That's up to you. Might need more yarn though than what I said, but that is it. Your blanket, after you hide that tail on any other tails, your blanket is done. I think it turned out really cute. Actually, it's really cute. So I hope you enjoyed my tutorial. Please don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. That way you never miss an update on any of my tutorials or any of my giveaways. I have quite a few giveaways. Don't forget to check out my website, bagodaycrochet.com, and also don't forget to check out redheart.com also. And until next time, have a good day.